Well, hi everyone. My name is Vlad Rozanovich. I'm the Senior Vice President at Lenovo, responsible for data center customer engagement. And what's exciting today is we're here with Erwan Menard, who's the SVP at Crusoe. Erwan, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
No, thanks, Erwan. So Crusoe, amazing story of where NeoCloud is heading into really kind of this stratosphere. Jensen talked about it yesterday, about this market potentially hitting $1 trillion. And you really are at the forefront of this massive influx in the market for customers looking at how do we take both technology from a training and inference and really into a usability space. Can you tell us a little bit about Crusoe, especially as an energy first type corporation, how you're looking at the market and how you're approaching the market in this NeoCloud space?
Yeah, I mean, the $1 trillion comes from usage and demand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable how much demand there is to produce intelligence. And so that creates an opportunity to build new companies, build new businesses. But the need to build AI purpose-built clouds like NeoClouds, like Crusoe, not only comes from the demand, but comes from the technology.
Yeah.
If you look at the entire stack from electrons to tokens, every single thing has to be reinvented. So take a data center or an hyperscaler, say 5 years ago. You would design for a 15 kilowatt rack density. Today, if I take GB200 from NVIDIA, I'm at a 120 kilowatt, and it's going to be even more with Vera Rubin.
Yeah.
So the physics of the data center have to be reinvented. The way you source energy to power them as well, not to mention the whole software stack. How do I orchestrate and manage the fleet and deal with the hardware failures? And over that, how do I build an inference engine and optimize the utilization of GPUs to lower the cost per token? So as a NeoCloud, as an AI purpose-built cloud, we do AI top to bottom, from electrons to tokens. We specialize, we do this and this only. And that probably explains in part why we are growing so fast.
Yeah, and it's amazing. One of the things, I want to drill down on a few of those points you made. The first point you made was about when you look at the energy consumption of some of these racks. And as we go from 120 kilowatts per rack to something even higher in Vera Rubin and beyond, what is Crusoe doing to make sure you have the right infrastructure with the right sustainability techniques as you're deploying these new data centers?
There's a couple of things there. I think the obvious one that probably everybody's going after is, I need to design the data center for this and this only. We happen to have in-house data center development capabilities. We're actually building data centers not only for Crusoe Cloud, but for other cloud providers. For example, we've built for OpenAI in the project Stargate, gigawatt scale campus, and we have others in the works. So we have in-house knowledge of how do I design the data center to deal with the cooling, the density of weight on the floor tiles, and so on and so forth. I think a lot of people are trying to solve this. I think we solved it very well, having established a new world record to turn on data halls in a gigawatt campus. We were able in 11 months to deliver the first data halls to OpenAI.
Amazing.
The second piece is energy. And we try to design everything with energy first. So we are deployed in Norway. You have a lot of hydro energy. We're deployed in Iceland. You have geothermal energy. And we are deploying together with Lenovo at a place in Nevada that maybe we can talk a little bit more about, where we use second-hand EV batteries, solar, to power a mini data center, a modular data center that we call Crusoe Edge Zones.
That's awesome, very much. And now, as an edge zone, one of the things that really becomes top of mind when you think about edge is inference. When you think about it from a software standpoint, and being a software guy, the development needed, or how do you actually view developers, and what is Crusoe doing to really value developers for that edge modeling or edge inference that they may need?
So if you look at a Crusoe Cloud, you got an offer for the infrastructure engineer. So infrastructure as a service, virtualized or containerized clusters, and we give you managed Kubernetes to save you time as you manage the fleet of GPUs. That's for the AI infrastructure, typically infrastructure engineer. For developers, we've built a higher level of abstraction services, such as managed inference. So you're going to be able to take a popular open model, you can fine tune it, serverless, you don't even know what hardware is involved under the hood, and then we can play it back to you in a managed inference fashion where you get an API with an SLA and you don't even know on which GPU it's running. So we abstract the hardware complexity and we save it for the developers so that they focus on building the agent and all the business logic that comes with it.
That's fantastic, because it really is. It's all about the usage of those developers to create what they need to accomplish. And so I think creating that abstraction, this way they don't have to worry about the hardware, means that they can put all their energy and effort into their own development.
I mean, we work with a lot of AI natives, you know, companies like Cursor in coding assistant as an example, or Utori, who's doing some really cool agents that will also be used in the enterprise. And I think it's not one size fits all. Part of their workloads, they want to go very deep into the hardware, and they like working with us because we know exactly what version of CUDA, what version of firmware, of kernels, and so on. And then for some other services, they want to manage service because they don't have the engineering bandwidth to manage it themselves. And so we try to span across that spectrum of infrastructure, almost in a DIY fashion, all the way to a managed service.
Fantastic. So, Erwan, one of the things you talked about when you kind of made the opening comments was the view of sustainability. And you even mentioned it, you're in places like Iceland and Norway, which are taking advantage of kind of non-traditional energy sources, and also looking at things like natural gas, especially in the Texas facility. One of the things that's important is, and I'd love your opinion, is do you think that everything is going to this liquid-cooled environment? And more importantly, how do you even look at ensuring that everything is kind of, from an sustainability standpoint, how does that become top of mind at Crusoe?
So liquid cool is the way. I mean, if you look at the architectures by NVIDIA, you have a clear message. If you look at this modular data center we're talking about, so Crusoe manufactures ourselves what we call Spark modular data centers. That's 0.5 megawatt AI factory, and you can have up to 20 of them chained together to form a 10 megawatt data center. And we can locate those containers where you need them, which can help in sovereignty requirements. So that particular deployment, which we're doing together in Nevada right now with B200s, that's air-cooled. We have a few dozens of those that are coming for deployment. And then in 2027, we'll switch to liquid cool only on that particular form factor, which is going to be deployed in the hundreds. We just announced a new factory in the United States to manufacture these modular data centers at scale.
Wonderful. Well, first of all, thank you for the B200 deployment with Lenovo. We really appreciate the business, and we want to scale and grow with Crusoe. Now, as part of that, we also, from a Lenovo perspective, we did asset recovery.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about why asset recovery is important to Crusoe?
Well, we care, we're energy first. We try to bend the arc of energy, and it's not easy, right? I mean, you need a lot of power to do AI. So every opportunity we have to do the right thing, we take it. And so in that particular instance, the first modular data center we ever deployed was filled with GPUs that were no more able to do the job we needed to do. We're going to use that site for our own managed inference service. So that's going to be the engine under a marquee managed service of ours. We wanted to get the B200s in there. And we had those a little bit outdated GPUs that were in there. You were very helpful in taking them, helping, making sure they get another life, and that we don't waste that resource, although it could not do the job for us anymore.
Well, and that's one of the things, Erwan, from a Lenovo perspective, we view asset recovery as there is useful life. As Crusoe is really pushing the envelopes of technology, both from training and inference and modeling, there are still many corporations out there that are not at the levels or stages that you're at. And so from our point of view, from asset recovery, we like looking at how do you create a sustainability kind of circular infrastructure to reuse that hardware for other corporations that may not need the level of performance that Crusoe has.
Yeah, and for us it was really compelling. I mean, that combined with Lenovo's ability to respond to a quick need. I mean, we have an explosive success with that managed inference service. With a modular data center, we can add capacity easily, and for that to work, we need our partners to respond.
That's right. Well, thank you, Erwan. So one of the last topics I wanted to bring up with you is this concept of time to first token. How important do you view time to first token across what Crusoe is trying to offer your customer base?
Yeah, it's a very, very typical success metrics of inference services. You typically look at time to first token, which represents the reactivity, the interactivity with the model. And then you look at QPS, the queries per second, which is kind of the measure of the concurrent access, the throughput of your inference service. We do offer SLA terms to our customers based on these metrics.
Yeah.
So you train a model from the ground up, or you modify a model from a popular open source baseline. You give it to us, we serve it back to you with an SLA on these metrics. So of course we care quite a bit about those. And the way you optimize them is a combination of very deep hardware engineering. Like, you want to make sure you're on the latest firmware, you have your networking perfectly configured, you don't want storage to be a blocker, and you mutualize the memory of the GPUs to form a KV cache. So that's deep hardware engineering plus a software stack. So we have our own inference engine. In particular, we have a KV cache solution we call Memory Alloy that allows us to reduce TTFT, the time to first token, by 10x compared to a classic inference engine.
Fantastic.
And it's really the combination of hardware and software that make it work. And that's why customers like it served as a managed service, because all these pieces, both hardware and software, are changing at least once a month. And so we curate all of that greatness, and we make sure that they get the best SLA.
That's awesome.
And actually, at this GTC, we decided to contribute one piece of that inference software work to Dynamo, which is the open source project of NVIDIA around inference. We contributed our tokenizer, 40x faster than tokenizer you find on Hugging Face. Happy to give it to the community, because we leverage the community ourselves to make our inference engine iteratively better.
Well, congratulations. And we are a firm believer in open source, because that's what drives the industry forward.
Absolutely.
You know, the proprietary solutions are going to keep things where they are. When Lenovo looks at our infrastructure from a hardware perspective, from a solutions perspective, we view open source as kind of the way to go all the time.
Absolutely. It's the same here at Crusoe.
So where do you see, Erwan, you know, you're sitting here at GTC, you're rolling out incredible amounts of performance and power to your customer base. Where do you see Crusoe a year, 2 years from now?
I think eventually, and I think Jensen said it very, very explicitly, we're all heading to a power supply problem. Like, we've been living in GPU supply constraints. I think the world uncovered data center availability constraint, because to our earlier point, the design of that building is radically different. It's not easy to refurbish an old data center for these workloads. The next is energy. And that's why at Crusoe, we source energy. We have a pipeline of 45 gigawatt of energy that we are scouting, and we produce energy on site. You know, we've placed massive orders for gas turbines, as an example, working with people who are taking jet reactors and turning them into turbines and innovating to create energy cleaner, faster, cheaper. We make these investments years ahead of the energy wall. And so back to your question, I think in a couple of years, a vertically integrated player like us is going to be able to supply what the customer needs, because we understand everything from electrons to tokens.
That's awesome. And so Lenovo wants to be part of your journey as we go to that vertically infrastructure deployments. And we truly do believe that the market inflection point right now is really just starting. And Crusoe has done some amazing things to secure that energy pipeline, to do it in a very sustainable way, and we applaud you for that. And so I guess the last question is, why the partnership with Lenovo? We absolutely appreciate the business, both on B200s, on asset recovery, but what is it about the partnership with Lenovo that Crusoe enjoys?
I think to us, first of all, I think solving the problems of today matters. It's always good to project yourself years ahead, but we have massive demand we need to serve now. And so we're really grateful for the reactiveness, for helping us dispose of these older assets. So that's a great foundation. If I fast track 2-3 years down the road, I think what is interesting to us in Lenovo is that today you're an OEM partner, tomorrow you could be an ODM partner. And as we scale the business, it would only be natural that these relationships evolve towards an ODM model. And so we look forward to developing that with Lenovo.
Well, and that's part of our plan as well, Erwan. When we look at it, you know, Lenovo calls it our ODM plus model. We want to be there to, you know, not only look at standard infrastructure and deployment, we also want to look at how do we customize so that we create solutions that are the most energy efficient, based off of our Neptune liquid water cooled, as well as looking at where can you create efficiencies in the power supply, where can you create efficiencies in the memory subsystems. Those are all the things that we're looking at from a, how do you optimize this? And so as you're thinking about that ODM model, Lenovo absolutely wants to be there with you every step of the way.
Looking forward.
Great. Well, Erwan, I want to say thank you. It's a pleasure. It's awesome to see what you and Crusoe are doing in the marketplace. And I think that we are in an incredible, we talked about it right before this, about our rocket ship of where Crusoe is heading. I applaud you for what you've done and what you've created. And Lenovo wants to be there with you on every step of that way.
Thanks for having us. We're all privileged to be in this industry at this moment. So
I agree.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Erwan. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Lenovo.